We have a book that we just finished reading. I thought it was amazing, so I said, let's talk about it today. The author of the book is Dr. Dharius Daniels. We're going to give you a synopsis here of it. Some of y'all may not read. I don't know, but they may not though.
Reading is really important.
It really
We're
is
going to save that
important.
conversation.
It's fundamental. But it's called Relational Intelligence.
A lot of times in marriage, you might not just be head over heels in love with the person. Them being cute, just sometimes you're like, man, this is not cutting it. This is not enough.
If I can trust a person, I got to go through a season with you. I'm saying like a life season, not necessarily a year season, but a life season with you. See you when you up, see you when you down.
It shouldn't take, 5, 6, 7 years for him to decide or for her to say yes or him to say, hey, you know what? I think this is the one. We need to have that DTR conversation. Define the relationship conversation.
What's going on with me? Because if I got to figure out what's going on with you before I figure out what's going on with me, I may miss some things, right? Of really how to love you.
Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristin and Michael, and you are listening to Fuse, transparent conversations for marriage, family, and relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss perspectives that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and family to check us out and connect with us on social media. Join the conversation by emailing us at info@fusedmarriages.com. Okay, so before we jump into today's topic, we have a little announcement to make.
Let's do it. What we got?
All right. So today is the final episode of season 1, Fused Marriages.
Yay!
Season 1. But don't worry, we are coming back for season 2 on October the 18th. So make sure you check us out that Sunday night, October the 18th. But until then, we will be coming at you through Facebook Live and YouTube, and we want to talk to you every Tuesday morning. So make sure you wake up with us from 6 to 7 every Tuesday morning for the next 4 weeks. Wake up. Okay. So you get up out of bed or lay in the bed, just turn us on. We are going to be answering your questions. We are going to be doing the letters that we've received, letters of the day. And we just want to have a different kind of interaction with you all. So get up with us Tuesday mornings from 6 to 7, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live.
There you go.
And check us out on Instagram too. Connect with us there.
We on the gram.
Saying, we there. Okay, we everywhere. We just want to connect with you in as many ways as possible. But make sure you come back on Sunday night, October the 18th, to check out season 2 of what we are doing here at Fused Marriages. Okay. All right. So let's jump into today's topic. Michael, what we got going on today?
Let's do it. Today we're doing something a little different. We have a book that we just finished reading. I thought it was amazing. So I said, let's talk about it today. The author of the book is Dr. Dharius Daniels.
Okay.
And he has a book. The name of the book, if you haven't got it yet, just go check it out. It's on Amazon, wherever you can check it out. But we're going to give you a synopsis here of it. Because, some of y'all may not read. I don't know. But
they read.
They may not, though.
Reading is really important.
It really
We're going
is
to save
important.
that conversation.
It's fundamental.
I love it. I think it's important, particularly for us that are in relationships or just in life. We want to evolve. And the more information we know, the grander and the deeper that we can go. So
some of y'all that don't have the book or don't read, we're going to give you a synopsis of it a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's talk about it a little bit. But it's called Relational Intelligence.
Okay.
And we did a previous podcast. Go check them out. We got a whole list of things about different topics, but that kind of mirrors up with this one. So relational. So the book, it goes into a lot of different aspects of it. We're going to talk about it, highlight a few of them. And a few of those are, he has these buckets he puts people in. Okay. He has a friend bucket. He has an advisor bucket. He has an associate bucket. And he has a mentor bucket.
Okay.
And he says, in this book, is like, okay, you got to figure out which bucket do these people belong in. But people are like, okay, what does that got to do with relationships, right? Well, we're always trying to find, who's the right person, right? People always say, I want a friend. And when they don't have, they kind of look and say, what? And sometimes they fall in love with somebody that might be an advisor, somebody to look up to.
Wait. So are we talking about love relationships? As you just said, they fall in love with.
Right.
Right. So walk us through from the different buckets to our relationships.
Right. So is there a difference, right, of the bucket between, if I'm looking for a relationship, is there a difference between these buckets of what I'm looking for, between a love relationship or just a friendship? They kind of intersect in a way that, you know what, people are just trying to find something that's unique to them that allows them to grow as an individual and as a couple. And it's easy, and he kind of frames it up, right? The book is, generally speaking, it's not necessarily about a love book or about relationships in a way that romantic relationships. It's about relationships in general.
Okay.
And I'm bringing to the table saying, you know what, a lot of these cross over, whether you're in just a platonic friendship, you're trying to, I got my best homeboy, we kind of tight, or I'm looking for my wife. You know what I mean? Or I'm trying to relate to my wife. You know what I mean? So to me, it crossed over quite a bit in my mind of what that looks like.
Okay. So the book is Relational Intelligence, and it starts off with the concept of people being in different buckets of your life, kind of categorizing, though there can be some bleed over from each area. So we're just doing a little kind of our take and a little synopsis on it. But we would love for you to go read it for yourself, talk back with us, email us at info@fusedmarriages.com, see if it applies to you. We're going to be kind of introducing some more information in season 2 and so forth for different books that we're reading, different resources that we think could benefit you. Also, you can go to the website, fusedmarriages.com. We have some books there that you might be interested in, some different classes, workshops, all that is on the website. So as we are getting into the conversation about people being in different categories and where the stream of love is between all of these. So the first thing I would like to kind of talk about is friendships. I know a lot of people, you said the friend bucket, a lot of people might kind of choose their mate out of the friend bucket. Is that okay? Is that good? Is that bad? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think, and it's just for me, like I said, and I think for us and maybe a lot of you as well, but like, you want to be in love with somebody that's your friend. It is hard. You can love somebody that's not a friend. To say y'all kind of like, y'all match up in different ways, whether it's financially, whether they got the same kind of flow with religion, whatever. All that is good. But you want somebody that you have a friendship with, right? Because sometimes, you know what, I don't feel like being loving, but you're still my friend, though.
So here's a question. All right, I really want to know what you think about this. Do you have to be friends before you're in love with them, or can you be in love and then a friendship kind of develops after that?
When you say have to, so I always like, you know what?
Well, some people say like, oh, well, we were cool, and then we just found out, man, I'm feeling her, I'm feeling him, and then we got together. And then there are some people that are like, they kind of meet and there's this spark, and then they find out later, like, oh my gosh, we have so much in common. What do you think? I mean, like I said, the have to kind of throws me into like saying like, okay, you know what? Nothing you really have to do. I think it's preferred to be a friend. That's why I was looking at it. You know what? The friendship should develop first. Does it have to? No, maybe not. But I think if I'm picking the ideal path, I would say yes. You know what? Let's develop friendship first. I think that's I think it's an interesting question, which is why I asked it. But I think most important coming out of that question is that you do have to have the foundation of friendship at some point before you get married. Make sure that you are cool with who this person is. If they have silly jokes or if they cook or don't cook, like, okay, this is my friend, because a lot of times in marriage, it's not, it can be sex and logistics and kids and all that, but at some point it's just going to be the two of you. Can you laugh together? Can you go on a trip together? Can you spend time together? Does he do silly things, or is she just, bring a smile to your face? What about that person makes them a friend? I think that's critically important, because a lot of times in marriage, maybe I shouldn't say it this way, but a lot of times in marriage, you might not just be head over heels in love with the person. You might love them, but them being cute, I've said this on a show before, them being cute, just sometimes you like, man, this is not cutting it. This is not enough. So being attracted to a person or even having the same interests doesn't mean that you have friendships. There are people that, you might both like sports. You might both like the same sports team, but that doesn't mean that you're friend. You might just have camaraderie over that one thing. So you have to, it's really important that you have a friendship that is a deep and invested, that you're both really investing in this friendship. And that's a warning sign, red flag. If you're the only one really investing into a deeper relationship, you might want to reconsider. And I'm not trying to break anybody up, and especially if you're already married. But if you're dating, you're watching us and you're like, man, I'm giving a lot to this and I don't really know him, or I don't really know her, or man, we have a good time when we're out with other people. But when it's just the two of us, we're just kind of bored. We spend most of our time on our phones. It's not a good sign. That's all I'm saying.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I know one point I want to bring up in the book, and we can kind of talk about it a little bit. He says, basically, friends, they can deal with your flaws. It's not that they don't know what they are. They know what your flaws are. Mm-hmm. They know where your weaknesses are, but they can deal with them. Yeah. A real friend is basically what he's saying. A real friend can deal with your flaws. So you know what? If a person can't deal with your flaws, let me qualify that, because if you're not trying to, he or she knows that you're working on them too, though. Mm-hmm. So they know what they are and they know what you're working on them. So that was an interesting concept. If somebody can't deal with your flaws, that might be just like you said, a yellow flag or red flag, because we're all trying to grow and go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. And I think depending on the friend too, some things have time limits. Like if your friend is with you and walking with you for a long time, and like, okay, I'm still in this, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be in this thing forever. And that might not be, what you want to hear, or even right. The point that he's trying to make. But sometimes you can take a long time to develop. It's the same thing in a marriage. We've talked about this, I think, in the episode On the Brink. You can be working, but just taking a really long time. And you have to understand that those people that love and care with you, I know I have to understand that the people that love and care for you, they're walking this thing out too. And right. It doesn't mean that they're not hurting, that they're not wounded, that you're not affecting them or offending them in some way as you're trying to figure it out. So there's a certain amount of grace. I know I have friends in my life that have extended me massive amounts of grace as I've tried to figure things out in my own life. I'm sure it's the same with you, and I'm sure it's the same with you. You have those people that are just so special and so important that you don't want to lose. So that's just something I just wanted to kind of throw out there.
And I think we talked about, do you want to be a friend first? I think in the book, he also mentions if I'm a car, then my friend or my friends or my connection groups are the gas. So I have a car, but I can't really go to my fullest potential alone. I need friendships, a friend, a wife, a spouse, deep, friendships that allows me to kind of go further.
Yeah.
So if you don't see that person, okay, I'm with this person, but man, I really can't. I can do without them, or I really can't go as far without them. How do you see that person is the question you need to kind of frame in your mind.
Yeah, there's the quote. I can't remember who said it. You might recognize it, but it's everybody that came with you can't go with you.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said that, but the idea of sometimes you might have people in your life that are seasonal.
Yeah.
It might get you to point A. I know, I won't go too much into this, but sometimes when you get married, if you're a newlywed, you have friends that fall off, okay. And they are with you all through your single, all through your, your wedding and all of that. And then as you try to get some stuff together, they might not be there anymore.
Right.
Or if you go through a really traumatic or difficult season, maybe with your kids, or you move. There's a lot of people talk about man, I thought we were so close, we kicked it every weekend, and then I moved to another city or another state, and I never hear from them anymore. Or if you're widowed, where you're widowed or divorced, those are two different kinds of things. But when you're no longer in that unit that people might have been accustomed to, and then you see okay, these people aren't responding to me in the same way, or they don't want to be around me in the same way. So I think this, it's just interesting to consistently evaluate your friendships. Where are they? Who are you in that relationship? Are you the draining friend? Are you giving to that relationship? Are you supportive to the friendship? And then how does that affect your relationship? So as we kind of dig into this a little bit, this friendship aspect is also kind of important to note that same thing, it applies to your relationships outside of your marriage, can apply to your relationship inside the marriage. Are you being a friend to your spouse? Absolutely. Not just a lover, not just somebody to kind of talk about the finances or to take care of the kids, but do you have friend time? And sometimes that's hard to carve out. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have a lot going on, but saying, you know what, every day for 15 minutes at least, we're going to sit and we're just going to talk like friends talk, not caking up and all that, not being boo and all of that, but just what you think about, what's going on, how you feeling, You know, where are you trying to go? Are you on track for your goals? Hey, I've noticed these things about you. How is this going internally? You are working on this. How is it? Are you still interested in the same things? And these are just some questions that I'm throwing out, because when that friendship starts to deteriorate, then you just have logistics. Then you just have, okay, we have sex every Wednesday, and then we have to pick up the kids on these times on these days, do this, or hey, we have the house, or we have this get together that we're going through, and your relationship just kind of starts to separate. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I think, on the other topics, he talked about know the difference between an associate and a friend. Mm-hmm. And just to highlight a little bit, it's like almost what you're going into. Basically, you can depend on a friend. A friend is trusting. Associate, you know what? You kind of still trying to figure out if they are that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people get attached to an associate romantically. Ooh,
wow.
And like they don't really know if they can really trust them or depend on them, but they end up getting attached, and then they're trying to figure it out. Okay, now can I trust and depend on them? And it's not say it's too late, but like it's like put you in a real predicament of trying to be in a relationship with somebody that you don't know if you can trust or depend on.
Wow. I wonder if a lot of people kind of walk that path where they get really hurt because of what you just said. They get attached emotionally to an associate, and an associate is somebody, as you define, somebody you just can't trust. You haven't gone there yet.
Right.
Now, is there a length of time, or is this like, bad things happen? Like, how do you determine, hey, I trust this person, other than kind of like that feeling?
Yeah, I think what I would do to kind of figure if I can trust a person, I got to go through a season with you. I'm saying like a life season, not necessarily a year season, but a life season with you. Like, you know what? See you when you're up, see you when you're down. See you when you just kind of just average. And like that, to me, that gives me the complete picture of saying, okay, I know how to respond to this person, and can I deal with that? When they real up, are they real arrogant? Or are they real, you know what I mean? Are they drip? I don't know, right? Or are they real down? What do they look like? Can I deal with that?
But I do want to note in that, because that's really a great point. That doesn't mean forever, because some dudes and some ladies will be around and they'll be waiting for this ring, or waiting for this proposal, or, I'm not so sure yet. And 2, 3, 4, 5 years have passed, and, oh, well, they together, and everybody knows that you're together, but there hasn't been any commitment for the future. And by commitment, I'm not just talking about, like we move in together. Like that's, you move in together, you can move out, but I'm talking about something a little more solid, like an engagement, like something. It shouldn't, at least in my mind, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. It shouldn't take, 5, 6, 7 years for him to decide, or for her to say yes, or him to say, hey, you know what, I think this is the one. Like at some point there should have been some trusting before then. In my opinion, value yourself and say, you know what, as much as I love you, I can see that it's not reciprocated. So I'm going to allow you to find someone else, and I'm going to do the same. That's what I think. So that's on the trusting thing. But as we kind of jump back into the friendship thing between the two, hey, because there's such a strong bond between you, you mentioned earlier that that's the gas. So a really good relationship should motivate you to propel you forward. It should put that gas in your tank, so it's like, okay, I'm ready to wake up the next day and do this. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Just kind of go back what you were just talking about, somebody taking, 3 or 4 or 5 years to kind of really figure out like, okay, if that person is for them. Some people, I would say that person may have trust issues, right? They've been burned in the past. So it may not just necessarily be you that they're dealing with. They're really trying to work through what happened to them, and they're trying to figure out how do they kind of get past that to deal with you.
Yeah. In that, though, I think there has to be some form of articulation. Like somebody has to say something. It can't be we just keep going business as usual, and every time that one of us brings up a commitment, it's like my one of my friends used to call it the DTR conversation, the define the relationship.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
We need to have that DTR conversation. Define the relationship conversation. So if you are in this, we know we have people that watch us that are single, that are married, that have been married for 20 years, that have been married for 3 months. So I know that this is something that kind of comes up in it. Like, okay, how deep does your friendship go? And then other friendships that have been around can sometimes challenge that, meaning, he has been friends with this group of friends for like 20 years. They grew up together, and then here you come, and now you're the new friend. Okay, this is his girl, and he's spending a lot of time with his girl or her dude, and she's spending a lot of time. Right. And now that friendship is developing, and it takes a little bit of time, but it takes intentional time. So I know sometimes there's jealousy in other friendships. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, yeah, I think that can happen. I mean, I think the person that's coming into the group new, they're an outsider. So they got stuff they did and talked about. And like, unless you can flow with that and try to figure out how you're going to fit into that pocket, you're going to be an outsider. And I think, people, sometimes that's uncomfortable. Okay, why aren't they, joking with me, or they not, taking to me like that? But they don't know you like that yet. Even though the person that brought you, they know you and feel, but if they're not good at kind of interweaving you into that friendship, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a little time.
I think some of that can be really challenging depending on how the other people feel about the friend. So I'm going to ask you this. What if, this is our what if scenario, what if the person has the new partner, we're just going to say it's a dude, he has a new partner, this is somebody he's committed to, and some of the other friends don't really, not vibing with her, like, we don't know, we like the last girl, or, we don't know if this girl is right for you, but you sold, hey, this is the one. How do you negotiate those other friendships with this new relationship?
To me, I don't give people the automatic, I guess, pass to say, you know what, I have to like you. They don't know you. So now they can't be disrespectful to you, even though they don't know you, but they don't have to like you because they don't know you. And then, like, you know what, they may be taking the person that brought you their word, saying, okay, you know what, she's cool. Or maybe they ain't said anything. The person might didn't, just kind of, hey, has this new person I'm bringing, you know what, she cool. That's all they know. And they trying to figure out, okay, is she really? I seen the last couple you done brought girls, you know what I mean? And like, I ain't too sure. And all the conversations ain't happening, but they happening up in their head space, right? So like, I think that it takes time. People got to be patient and say, oh, you know what? If I'm a good person, it's going to come out. And they going to see it. And if they don't respect that, I know I'm a good person. Now I have some, leeway to say, hey, what's going on? Take the initiative. You go talk to them one-on-one. It's basically, that's how relationships are built, right? One-on-one, it's hard to get in a relationship with a friend group in a group. Yeah, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go spend some time with this person. It's 5 minutes. Just talk to them. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? And really try to get that one-on-one time with them, just so you have a little bit of insight about who you are.
Yeah.
Just thought.
I think all the relationships can be challenging, and depending on how long that person has been friends with their other peers, it can get kind of sticky. So there has to be always, and we talk about this all the time, there always has to be open lines of communication between you and your partner, you and your spouse or your boyfriend or your fiance, just saying like, hey, I'm not, this is how I'm feeling when I'm with your friends, or when I'm with vice versa, or even with your family. So how can I be responsible for me and put myself out there, and how can you help it be a more comfortable situation? But sometimes this can lead to some frustration. So one of the things he talks about in the book is dealing with frustration. So let's get into that.
Yeah, I think he kind of, he's kind of talking about the friendships and people are trying to figure out relationally how they fit in to different groups, whatever, and then frustration kicks in. And he talks about, it's about expectations. So expectations kind of get out of whack. And he uses the example, he's the car example a lot, but like talking about a check engine light. So it's like, it's not something wrong that the car can't drive, but the frustration is that check engine light that comes on, like something not right. And then you're forced to kind of deal, okay, what's going on? And a lot of people will necessarily try to push through it, try to ignore it. You know what I mean? But you got to figure out what is going on with my relationship with the friend group, or the person I'm dating, or my husband, my wife. There's frustration there that needs to be figured out.
Yeah, I think that's a really big thing, because one of the things you point out is that it's you figuring it out for you. It's you doing some kind of internal evaluation, saying, okay, I'm frustrated. Let me evaluate me. Why am I frustrated? Let me take a moment and be responsible, versus kind of forcing that on somebody else. Yeah.
And I'm just going to take a little highlight out of the book that kind of jumped in my mind as you were saying that. It's like, sometimes frustration, we got to figure out, right? He talks about its unmet expectations, right? Which really come down to like with frustration. Then he says, you know what, is a person willing or not able? I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Is a person not willing or they not able?
Not willing
to meet the
not
expectation.
able
Yeah.
to meet the expectation. Okay, talk through that. What is not willing and not able?
Yeah, not willing is like, you know what? Hey, you know what? I need you to, do the dishes at nighttime for me before we go to bed. And the person like, no, man, I ain't doing no dishes in no nighttime. Done with that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that.
That's not willing.
That's not willing.
Okay.
Not able is like, say, you know what, man, my day is kind of is organized differently. I get sleepy, you know what I mean? And I doze off and I'm struggling. I'm not able to right now. And I think that'd be, it's a comical example. Like that's an example of like somebody.
It's comical because it's what we've experienced.
It's real life. You know what? I get tired, y'all. I don't mind doing the dishes.
So this is like real life because I think I've said it before, but one of our first, I think for our first year, this is a while ago. So our first year of marriage, I think that was one of the biggest arguments that we had was that I like the dishes done at night. I just don't like to wake up to any dirty dishes. And Michael I wake up in the morning and as I get my day going, I'm listening to my music and I clean up. And so for the first year, we were like, oh my gosh. And one of the things that this conversation kind of brings out is Michael would not like doing them at night because by the time that we eat and kind of take care of everything, make sure that the household is good and getting to the dishes and loading the dishwasher, to me, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a continuation of the day. But by the time that he got to it, he'd be like, I'm just so tired. He'd be falling asleep on the couch. I'd be like, are you going to do these dishes? Am I going to have to do clean and pick up and put away the food and do the dishes? So it can be this understanding the dynamic between, okay, we got to figure out something that works for us because he's not able to do this. Not that because he really wouldn't be like obnoxious about it. He was like, hey, let me just try to get to them in the morning. But to me, I was such a stickler that we had to kind of compromise about how we were going to do this thing. So this is an excellent example, sweetheart, of
real
how
life
it really goes. And you might have those experiences in your relationship. And I think really determining and being able to kind of step back and say, okay, they're not doing it, but why are they not doing it? They are doing this thing. Why are they doing this thing? I think that's a big deal. I think that's really great. A really, really great point. And I think another thing that the book talks about is when you're picking your person, make sure that you are not picking while you are broken. I think this is just so huge. Talk a little bit about that.
Man, that's so deep because basically how the book framed, I was like going to my mind reading this book. I was like, man, if you're broken, that person is going to relate to you in your broken state. So when you get healed or get better and get in this better place and you adjust, are they going to be able to adjust? What if they can't? Right? That's the risk that you run. Not saying it's not impossible, but that's the risk of saying like, man, I'm not completely where I need to be at on the inside, mentally, whatever, spiritually, and I'm going to progress to this next level. Is that person, are they loving you for where you at or love you where you're trying to go?
Yeah. I think that's just such a major thing. And that's why whenever kind of we talk to couples, it's not that you can't get married to somebody that's, been through a bad relationship or somebody that's even been divorced. You just have to make sure that you're not attaching to them and you become like the Superman or the person that's going to pull them out of this place, or Superwoman. Like it's been a dark season, or man, you're the first good thing that they've had in a long time. And now that's the box that you're put in. So it's not caring about the person holistically. It's based on this. And then, like you said, if you grow out of that or you get therapy out of that, then you're no longer relatable. Like you don't have anything in common, because what you had in common was brokenness. What you had in common was being wounded. And now the relationship dynamics have changed. So the relationship is no longer viable. So just make sure that if you are that broken person, if you have been, hurt by life, as we all have, or have gone through a challenging relationship or a challenging season, make sure that you give yourself some time to heal before you jump into the next thing, because then that thing won't be what it could be. And it's not to say that person that's always been there isn't the person for you. It's just to say, make sure that you give yourself space to take care of you. And in that, he said an interesting thing in the book that selfishness and self-advocacy are not the same thing.
I
think sometimes when we
the
take
other
care of
biological
ourselves,
parent.
we think,
the other
I'm being selfish.
biological.
Or, man, you're being selfish because you're not doing this and this and this. I would love for you to kind of, before we wrap up today's show, kind of jump into what is the difference? What does that mean?
I mean, I think he talks about a lot about reflection and self-care and kind of really like making sure you are your best self. If I'm not my best self, then can I be any good for you? Right? If I'm not loving me right, can I love you right? And that's where that self-advocacy, I'm saying, hold on, break it down for me.
Advocacy.
You know what I mean? She my English teacher sometimes, y'all. But it's just really trying to like just get that reflection and understanding of, you know, what's going on with me. Because if I got to figure out what's going on with you before I figure out what's going on with me, I may miss some things, right? Of really how to love you. Because I'm still dealing with some stuff that I got to deal with for my own self. So
and it's just so important to take care of you. So we will put a link to this book on our website, fusedmarriages.com. And we just thank you guys for joining us for season 1. Make sure that you jump back in with us season 2, October the 18th. But make sure you connect with us on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram. Check out our website for more content and marriages. Or more content and resources, fusedmarriages.com.
You're listening to Fused with Tristin and Michael.